Stugatz here for Dollar Shave Club. Thousands of athletes are going for the gold, and as the clear champions of the bathroom, Dollar Shave Club deserves a gold medal. Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to look, smell, and feel your best. Shampoo, body wash, toothpaste, they got it all. And of course, the best razors you'll ever use. You get an amazing, high-quality shave every morning from the DSC Executive Razor. Plus, the true gold standard of any morning routine is their Dr. Carver Shave Butter. It helps the razor gently glide across your skin. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything to you. That means no more trips to the store, wandering the aisles, hunting for razors, shampoo, and toothpaste, then playing cashier, scanning and bagging your stuff. Go for the gold. Join Dollar Shave Club today, and for just $5 with free shipping, you'll get the 6-blade Executive Razor plus trial sizes of shave butter, body cleanser, and one wipe Charlie's. Then keep the blades coming for a few bucks more a month. Get yours at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
Libertard.
I found this interesting. I thought that you might too. There's good friends and good women. Sometimes both won't do. When you're as drunk as you can get, high as you can be. I can't remember the next line. Da-da-da-dee-dee.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-dum.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stugatz.
Cody's very proud of what I'm about to say, which is a strange thing to be proud of, which is when you hear him sing, you can't tell if it's a really bad good singer or a really good bad singer.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Hoping to have Michael Wilbon there in just a second. Tune into The Jump, in case I haven't told you this recently. Tune into The Jump as Rachel Nichols interviews Magic Johnson. That's today, 3 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Champions League knockout stage starts today with Juventus versus Tottenham Hotspur and Basel versus Manchester City. I got none of that right.
Oof.
The Rays signed pitcher Sergio Romo. Did I get one of those right? Juventus versus Tottenham. No?
Juventus.
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 Juventus. Versus Tottenham Hotspur.
And it's Basel.
And Basel versus, is that Man U?
Yeah, that one.
There you go.
Ah, yeah, Man U. It's so
Well
much
done.
easier like that. Feels good. And finally, Metallica frontman James.
No, it's Man City.
Uh-oh, the other man.
All right. Man City's Man U.
No, Man
the
City is
opposite.
Man City.
Right.
Manchester City is.
Manchester City.
Okay.
Manchester
Man U,
United is
Ginobili.
Manchester United.
And Basel's Basel?
Basel.
Basel's playing Manchester City. The Rays signed Sergio Romo.
Roy, I'm glad that you've been more efficient with the way that you've been writing these. They're much quicker. It's good that Stugatz doesn't stumble or get stuck on anything.
And finally, Metallica frontman James Hetfield.
Uh-oh.
Hetfield has landed
Better.
his first film role. Is it Hetfield?
Het.
It's Hetfield. Hetfield will be playing Officer Bob Hayward, who was the first officer to arrest Ted Bundy in 1975. Zac Efron is attached to playing Ted Bundy. Yeah, I was surprised by that. Guys, there's only one day left until Valentine's. If you're still looking for the perfect gift, 1-800-Flowers.com is here for you with beautiful bouquets starting at just $29.99. Do it today to order. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I'm going to get in trouble with the audience. They always get mad at me. They always get mad at me. I'm the jerk around here because we're bad. And that read was unbelievable. Like, it was just unbelievable. That
Nailed
read.
it. I mean,
Mike Wilbon down for a second so I can say something to the audience. Okay, over, under 3.5 Dannies. Over, under 3.5 Dannies in this interview.
oh, wow.
Ooh.
I'll go over 3.5 Dannies.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. Michael Wilbon with us now on ESPN Radio. Always enjoy talking to my friend Michael. So let's discuss with him the sports topic du jour, even though the last hour has been pretty lame. The Steve Kerr play calling thing, Michael. Thanks for making time for us. What did you make of all that?
Nothing, because I was sitting watching I don't know, my little man cave here, I've got 3 sets, and there's a big one and a big 80-inch screen, non-millennials. The millennials wouldn't know anything about that. I don't watch on handheld. So I've got a big screen that the game, I turned that game on because it was the only late game that was really going. And I saw the camera sort of zoom in at one point on Draymond and maybe Iguodala, but I wasn't paying attention to that degree. It was a blowout. The Suns seem like they're firmly the worst team in the league right now. And so I'm like, okay, Golden State's in control here. I'm not paying attention. I could tell they were doing something. And I turned it up long enough only to hear that was happening. And I didn't think anything of it because these are the dog days of the NBA. I was in Boston on Sunday for the Cavaliers game. And what really comes out, the one takeaway from the Cavaliers blowout of the Celtics is that there's only one team in the league this week that wants to play, that is having fun playing, excited to play. And it's Cleveland because of the circumstance. And the 2 teams that is torture for are Golden State and Boston, Warriors and Celtics. They just want to get to the break. They want to get to Thursday. It's all they're thinking about. They're consumed with it. And so, however, Boston couldn't distract themselves. The Celtics couldn't do that Sunday, and they took one on the chin. And the Warriors are Steve Kerr's trying to figure out, okay, how can I keep them engaged until Thursday? And that's the reality of this year with this schedule that they bastardized, is seeking to, by the way, pacify the players, because you've never had this many games before an All-Star break. And so every team in the league except the newly constructed Cavaliers, the newly saved Cavaliers, every team wants to just go to an island. And that's why that's my guess as to why Kerr's doing what he's doing.
Well, what do you do with this? Greg Cody doesn't believe that millionaire professionals can be tired. He's been covering sports all his life.
No, Dan. I think that's what he's representing. We don't want to hear it. Greg and I don't want to hear it from the millionaire athlete and the coach. You play basketball for a living, please.
Well, the other thing is, Michael, Stugotz and I think it was very disrespectful to the opponent to do what he did.
It might have been. Greg, I don't disagree with that. But I think that Steve Kerr is got to be more in tune with his team than the opponent. If the opponent, this is the way I treat running up the score all the time. If you don't want them to run it up, then play better. So I don't disagree with your take on the disrespect, but Steve Kerr's got to deal with his own team. He's got to coach his team.
Right, but he didn't coach him, Michael. He didn't. He had his own.
He did, because that's part of coaching. It's figuring out how it is that your guys can get through a night. That is coaching. That's why Steve Kerr's better at it than a lot of people.
Michael, get through the Phoenix Suns. I mean, Steve Kerr just has to show up to get through the Phoenix Suns.
It's not about the Phoenix Suns. It's about them. You're not hearing me. The teams that are bored, they have to figure out how to deal with themselves.
But Mike, you're not hearing me. It's his job to make sure they're not bored.
He did his job. He fulfilled it. He did it.
But Mike, it's disrespect. Mike,
do it the way you wanted.
No, Mike. What you're Michael, 1 second. What you're telling the other coach from the Phoenix Suns is, hey, that's why it's disrespectful.
I agree with that.
Okay, but we're so good that I'm not going to do my job tonight, and we're still going to beat you by 46.
That's your extreme, knee-jerk reaction that often is the case. That's not it. Not in my opinion. So you have yours and I have mine.
Okay.
But do you think anybody wants to hear that a team is, in effect, tired of winning so much? Nobody wants to hear.
That's not what I hear. That's what you hear. They're trying to get through the part of the schedule. And by the way, it ain't just them. Steve Kerr decided to take that tack. I add one other team that probably is excited about playing. That's Utah, because they've won 10 straight. Steve Kerr looked at a situation, diagnosed a situation with his team, and attempted to come up with a remedy. You may not like the remedy, but I'm not going to say that Steve Kerr was somehow irresponsible, because he addressed what he needed to with his team, period.
Mike, he does it Game 7 against the Rockets, Western Conference Finals. You okay with it? He lets Draymond...
Game 7's on February the damn 10th.
I'm just saying...
Don't ask me a stupid question.
Michael, no.
It's dumb to even ask me.
Michael.
To compare Game 7 with today? Stop being stupid. Seriously.
Mike, no, the Rockets are up 3-0, and Steve can't reach his team. They just want to get to the finish line. And he says, hey, Draymond, coach the team.
This is why, if I can talk to Dan about something reasonable, instead of something this dumb, then I'll come back and I'll stay on the show. If not, I got better stuff to do, fellas.
Right.
I got better stuff to do.
Yes.
Than engage with something. The topic is fine.
Right.
That to somehow equate the NBA Finals with the week before the All-Star game is dumb.
Oh, so there's a time and a place for it. I see. Okay.
Yeah, there's a time and place for everything. It's called context.
Right. No, it's called the Phoenix Suns.
Danny, you want to talk, or am I
It's called the
going?
Suns.
Yes,
Dan?
I'm here, buddy, and I don't blame you. They've dragged this show for the last hour.
I know, I don't have time for that. I got stuff. Talk to me about something reasonable.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the Cavs, but I also wanted to ask you why you mentioned all of that about your television at the beginning for no reason.
Because I had the game on. You asked me, was it a big deal or not? And I'm telling you, it wasn't a big deal to me because I was watching it and didn't care. And I know none of you guys were watching it at the time.
No,
That's
correct.
true.
That was 2
I
hours.
got that right.
2 hours of sleep already by the time they tipped off.
Mike, honest to
So
God.
you mean to tell me when it's game 7 and you're not watching it?
I won't be watching.
Mike,
And I'll still be commenting on it.
Mike,
Like,
I don't think I've ever heard you this angry, Mike.
Only I can do this to
You
someone.
heard me
No,
this
no, I've heard you yelling at Kornheiser in the newsroom, but not like on air publicly.
Because if Kornheiser says something that stupid to my face, I'd probably throw water on him.
I wish you were here to do that.
The Cavs, what they did, you know basketball, you know the history of basketball. The Cavs, what they did, give me some sort of parallel for that because
Well,
I haven't seen that.
You know what? I asked LeBron that after the game, and he said specifically, don't forget about some year. Now, they were contenders, whatever this year was. I think it was the last year they lost to the Celtics. He said, we brought in 4 new guys that year. He started naming the guys. And I was shocked because I didn't remember it. Look, everything has a tiny shelf life now. We all say, well, this has never happened, and of course it has happened. I tell you a time that the Phoenix Suns made a deal that changed everything in another way. And it was dramatic with one guy. They were the number 1 seed, and they traded for Shaq. They traded for Shaq because Steve Kerr, by the way, did not believe, he looked at his team and didn't think it could beat San Antonio. And he traded for Shaq when they were the number 1 seed at the break. And it was such a stressful decision. Steve Kerr lost like more than 10 pounds in the process of making the decision to trade for Shaquille. They did it. It didn't work. And we tend to forget that was like 2000, I want to say 9 or something like that. So this stuff happens. LeBron mentioned the year that they traded all these people, and I didn't remember it, but he said, no, this is not unprecedented. He goes, I've had to do this before. Now, they weren't the favorite in the East like Cleveland is now, but I'm going to take LeBron at his word. I should have looked it up and didn't.
Do you have to go, or can we do another segment where we don't waste your time?
I got more Kerr questions.
Do you have to go? Do you want another segment, or do you got to get out of here?
I would love to do another segment, but I actually...
Okay, no problem.
I actually do have to go.
All right.
I'll stay. I'll stay.
All right.
One more segment of Wilbon.
Right.
Don't yell at me.
No, I want him to yell at you.
All right,
That was
well, then
good.
I'm gonna yell back.
Okay, but no, let him yell and uninterrupted yelling.
Well, now he interrupts. Why can't I interrupt?
Well, because I want the sound of him enraged.
Okay.
It's funny.
You're right. Hi, everyone. Stu Gatz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
There's fascination in power rankings. In fact, I'm coming out with a power ranking for power rankings, which ESPN's NFL power ranking right now is debuting at number 3rd on my list.
Right.
So it's a good power ranking.
Stugatz.
Who's 2 and 1 on that list?
Well,
This is where his story falls apart.
No, because it's it's a non-ESPN entity, so we don't want to air it on this
Heady play.
airtime.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Michael Wilbon, nice enough to spend a second segment here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I'll be at the kids' table.
Over under half on number of times he rips millennials. Turn his sound down so he can't hear me. Number of times he rips millennials this segment. Michael Wilbon with us now on ESPN Radio. A half is where I put it. Michael Wilbon rejoins us, and I want to talk to him about the way journalism has changed and the way that sports television has changed, because Michael Wilbon is there at the games. He's going and still doing the reporting. And so my guess is he objects to this proliferation of things like us that gasbag about what Steve Kerr should be doing when he's in there doing the actual reporting to find facts, and gasbags are opining without having facts. So, Michael, how much of an irritant is that in your professional journalism life?
Very little. I mean, my percentage of gasbag versus actual reporting has changed, as you know, for all of us. It changes over time. So, I'm still doing that in terms of pro basketball. I'm not in pro football locker rooms anymore. But, I'm just, nobody should be so definitive about their opinions when it comes to stuff they're not even involved with. I'm not that definitive in most opinions. I might be occasionally, but every day I got to have a strong take. It's why I don't listen to sports radio.
Well, what do you make? What do you make of the way that you guys have changed sports television, though? Because, Michael, a lot of people would put on you guys, chemistry or not, groundbreaking television. The idea of argument television in sports starts with you guys.
I don't know. That's awfully high praise, Dan. Thank you. It may, but I think in there you've got to hear the following sentence. Yeah, you got a point there. I'm not so cocksure of anything. Anything. I mean, it'd have to be something really base and elemental for me to be that.
You seemed cocksure that Stugatz asked you a stupid question.
That's because it's Stugatz.
That's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
I'm not certain Dan would have gotten the same response.
Game 7 to February 12th, then that's just dumb. And so that stuff I object to. I don't object to disagreement, obviously, is what I do now for a living as much as anything else. And I don't object to people's opinions. But I just I like them to be informed, and I like them to take into account something other than what they think.
Michael,
and I don't, throwing just gasoline on a fire. I don't have any interest in that. And then I realize a lot of people do. Like, that's probably at the base of what people just want to see fires blaze high. Like, California wildfires. They just want to see that. They want to hear that.
Have you ever fired a coach in print, Michael?
A couple of times, Dan, but it took something extreme. You and I talk about this too. That's hard. Like a coach, athletic director, I think when there are things that are outside the area of performance. And yeah, I have, but it's not something I wake up every day with fire the coach and trade the quarterback. I just think that sports is more complex than that, and the nuance of it is completely lost. And whatever part that Tony and I did to help lose the nuance, I apologize for. Because I don't like that element of the discussion.
Michael, a little bit ago, you had a delicious rant against LeVar Ball. But doesn't that start with sports media turning him into a celebrity?
Yes. Our network, and I've said it on PTI multiple days, our bosses, our network turned him into that. You will never see him on PTI. And putting a microphone under LeVar Ball's knows why him more so than. Do you know anything about Kyle Kuzma's father?
No,
I don't.
No.
And so, just because LeVar Ball is there and opening his mouth does not mean it's news. And it's lazy for editors and producers to not be discerning and not actually debate and have rigorous debate about what is news. LeVar Ball opening his mouth in an obnoxious way is not automatically news.
I just think that news has changed on us, Mike. Like, it was news. The way that you and I did it used to be the standard for news, and that is not the standard anymore.
Yes,
and Mike,
right.
Mike, we lose.
Right.
We lose, Mike. We lose.
Dan, you're right about that. It has moved. I've not moved as far as the definition of it has evolved. I couldn't agree with you more. I agree with you completely. And yet, we, the people in the business, still need to maintain some control. We need to discern to some point. We can't just, or you can say we're reacting to a tweet, but is it automatically news? It is if it's coming from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If it's coming from LeVar Ball, I'm not treating it quite the same way. But I agree with you. That's a stodgy, old definition of what it is. And you know what? I'm stodgy and old, and I got the damn microphone in terms of my show every day. And so that's what it's going to be until the millennial takes over.
Mike, I'm wondering, though, and like we got a minute here. I'm wondering, though, you've been doing this for so long. Do you have a take or an opinion that you regret, that you've changed over time?
Oh, sure, all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Is there one that sticks out for you?
Oh, God. I just think the general ones about what I feel about free agency or player movement, big issue stuff. I mean, the small ones don't matter, whether you want to trade.
But you don't have. I thought the 0-16 Lions were making the playoffs. You don't have anything like that in your past.
I got so many of those. Those don't register. It's the big ones. It's the big ones that matter. I got stuff that I'd like if I was doing it today, just by virtue of being old. I feel differently about issues at 59 years old than I did at 39. Or 29, God knows.
Yeah, the Kerr one sticks out for me.
You should regret the Kerr opinion that you have. Michael, thank you for the time. We always appreciate it, sir.
All right, you guys. Be good.
All right, Michael.
Dan Le Batard.
My hair is unfashionably age-inappropriate long, perhaps the longest it has been since college, and may continue as such. I'm not sure why. Last vestiges of the extreme outer limits of midlife crisis.
Stugats.
Feudal shield held wobbly against the encroachment of mortality. Maybe the last stage before the onset of Mr. Rogers-style sweaters and the silent, surrendering acknowledgement of official old age.
All truth.
If this is how you always wrote, you would be like one of America's greatest authors.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
All right, Mike, this is funny what happened during the break because Stugats, while a manipulator, is not a subtle manipulator. So Stugats is like, hey, if you want to get some good sound, get the sound of me defending you against MC Hammer because he says he's never been more disappointed in me than he was in that segment, that he's never felt disappointment toward me. Except that segment with Wilbon.
Yeah, you have felt disappointment towards me. I think just about every day, right? It's a daily occurrence for you, which I understand. It's expected, and I don't blame you for it, but this is the first time I've been disappointed with you. Because, I mean, you just left me alone there. And here's what I hate. Seriously, Greg, thank you for trying to come to my defense.
Well, you guys agree. I agree with Wilbon.
That's fine. You can agree with Wilbon, but where I felt betrayed was, like, this is what I hate. He kept cutting me off. You were telling me to let him finish while he was cutting me off on our radio show, and you just weren't there for me in a way that I would have been there for you, I think.
Hold on a second. But because these fights are never actually real, and because you've been my friend for 20 years and Wilbon's been my friend for 20 years, the reason I asked you to back off was not to protect his feelings. It's so the audience could hear him angry and then make its discerning choice on whose side it wanted to take about the way that he was talking, because the way he was talking was way too dismissive.
It was. And listen, I guess I can handle my own stuff. Like, it was a good back and forth, but I hate this. I hate when guys do that. I hate it, Dan, that I'm Michael Wilbon, and therefore, because I've been doing this forever, and I got this great show, PTI, which it is. It's a great, innovative show. I love it, okay? But I can only have sports conversations with certain people. Get out of here. We're talking sports.
Well, there is a
difference.
There is a difference in sensibilities between us and Wilbon. He announced, hey, I'm now the stodgy old guy, and I'm the one with the microphone, and I'm going to go ahead and sit with the thoughts of, I have the platform, you don't, eat it. And that's off-putting. Nobody likes that. I have spent my career saying, look, this platform isn't just for us, but Cody recognizes it. Cody absolutely believes his sports opinion is worth more than yours because he's in those locker rooms reporting things and getting information, and he believes in journalism that way. I do it the right way. I form my opinions, nuance, and then you exist.
Right.
And the people.
I'm needed.
Okay, well.
I am representative of what's needed in sports media. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I speak on behalf of the fans, man. I speak on behalf of people who are armed with no facts. Who just let it fly.
That's true.
That's what we do.
I know, but
that's what sports fans, Michael Wilbon, that's what we do. We can't all go to the games. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you scalp your tickets. You could go to the games, but you just scalp your tickets for profit.
Yes.
But to me, there is a funny disconnect between you and him on that, because I don't think there's anyone listening to that who isn't discerning about, maybe you can disagree with the question, but the way that Wilbon disagreed with the question put Stugatz at the children's table. And if you have an objection to me not protecting him, I didn't think he needed protection. I thought it was good radio. But you can make your own assessments of what you think of Wilbon for treating Stugatz that way, and you can make your own assessments about Stugatz. I'm sure you're going to side with Stugatz. But that show, those two guys have gotten older.
Yeah.
They have older sensibilities. They were the pioneers on this front. I remember specifically when PTI was created, the way that people would say that can't work. That was the up close spot. That's where Roy Firestone did the interviews. Two sports writers on television arguing. What the hell is that? That's going to last 6 months. Even Kornheiser thought it'd be off the air fast. And look at what it became.
Sure.
And the ego and success of that will make you feel like your opinions matter because you're the one giving them on television in a way that 1 million people a day are watching. And so I understand how you come upon in older age being dismissive of the guy like you who appears and is going to tell him, the journalist, as a fan, the right way for Steve Kerr to coach his team when you're armed with no facts.
But he watched the game in front of his TV. I mean, he wasn't like he was there or anything.
No, but he's around the team. He's talking to the people. He's covered the NBA all his life. Right. You've only gone to NBA games the nights that you don't sell your tickets for profit.
That's fair, but I could still, and that's my point, Dan. I don't need to be at the game to have an opinion on whether or not Steve Kerr, with what he did last night, was right or wrong. It's my opinion. I read the story. I know what he did. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? You can't have that conversation with me because I'm Stugatz and you're Michael Wilbon? That's crazy. I'm sorry.
And most of the audience would agree with you on that, if not all of it.
Yeah, Wilbon was rude to Stugatz in being so dismissive. Plus, this was not a fact-based argument. This was not an argument where it was quantitative. It's a very legitimate opinion on both sides, but I'm amused that anybody gets angry over a discussion like this. It's not a serious discussion.
Well, but that's
it's
where
not about social injustice.
But that's where the discussion, that is where the difference in sensibilities lies. Michael Wilbon does not like, man, this has been something I could tell you about sports television for a while. I'm not saying that our highly questionable is the right way to do television, but I do think that it reflects in some ways my sensibilities. Just my dad being there as a court jester, and we just like play YouTube videos and watch them together, and it's stupid. But I remember going to PTI for the first time, and this is an absolute disconnect between our show and the average sports audience. I remember going to PTI for the first time, and there were a bunch of manufactured issues like, is Frank Reich, the coach for Andrew Luck, or whatever stupid issue of the day it is that news of the day we're talking about. And I was in there talking to the producers. They're like, why don't you guys lead with that bear that fell out of a tree and landed on a trampoline? Like, why aren't you guys leading with that? Why are you leading with the manufactured question of the day? And the success of PTI, especially compared to our show, which is half the size of PTI, would tell you that the audience sides with them on those sensibilities. Because our show has been a lot of desserts for a long time. Their show is for people who take sports seriously. And they have fun with it, but it's fun to a point. It's not the fun that we're doing where we're urinating all over everything. And we want to just have trampoline bears. You know what I mean? Like, this has been a disconnect between, the producer for PTI and our show is the same. The producers, all the people are the same.
Yeah.
Their show is better. Their show is more popular. Their show is more successful. Their show has the sensibilities that the sports fan wants more than this show does. This show is an acquired taste for the sports fan who doesn't want to take his sports that seriously. But at that intersection is where we get into all our fights with Wilbon and with everybody in sport. When I get in trouble with ESPN, that's the intersection where I get in trouble with people at ESPN. What? I sold my Hall of Fame vote to Deadspin. It's funny. What? I put up billboards of LeBron in Akron. What? It's funny. No, serious sports. You're suspended. All right, good talk.
Boring.
I supported you through all those times.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about my lack of support for Stugatz in a second.
No, we're good. You and I are good, man. You said what you had to say. Listen, you thought I could handle it myself, and I did. I just didn't like how Wilbon.
I understand people are mad at me and at Wilbon.
No, they shouldn't be mad at you.
I get it.
Just
no,
Wilbon.
but the tone was bad, and the words were bad. 1-800-Flowers. 1-800-Flowers is where it's at. People, we've been telling you for a while. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. 1-800-Flowers right now. Right now!
Yeah, you have no choice.
Right now!
Yes.
You have a choice. You can do it the next couple of times I read it, but right now!
All right. Well, maybe you do have a choice. Tone, fine. Right now, 1-800-Flowers has amazing offers on fine. Tone.
Hello, I'd like to deposit this to checking.
Fate is a fickle master.
What?
The future is uncertain.
Okay, and what's my account balance?
The horizon is cloudy. I see a long, treacherous voyage filled with great peril.
Look, can I just get a deposit slip or something?
A fortune bank teller. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I see a yellow-eyed serpent and a low APR.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don Le Batard.
The Cody Stugatz combination, though, I can't imagine.
Well,
what
yeah, you
go
have
through
no
on
idea
Tuesdays.
how I dread Tuesdays to have two Stugatzes in here. God bless you, Stugatz. You don't wander around the premises as segments are started.
I didn't know the segment was starting. Sue me.
Stugatz.
But you started taking your stroll like as the rejoin was
Yeah,
playing.
I didn't
it's
hear it
just
because the things weren't in my ear.
Right. The things that are under whose control?
My personal assistant.
Yeah, nobody is the answer to that.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Let me go around the room here real quick. Roy, the stuff that's been happening here in private, behind the scenes, good radio or not good radio? Good radio to reveal? The audience would want that, yes or no?
Excellent radio.
Chris, yes or no, the audience would want what's been happening here behind the scenes?
Because it has to do with me? No.
No, not that part of it even. I'm not even talking about that part of it. All right, hold on a sec, because I just asked Mike for the sound of Wilbon and Stugatz arguing for each other. Mike said we've already spent too much time on this. And Stugatz was stomping all over the hallways, angry now at Mike Wilbon. He's gotten himself worked into a lather on Michael Wilbon. And Wilbon's angry at Stugatz. Mm-hmm. And so I think all of that's good content. I think all of that's good radio. But nobody wants to do it but me. Nobody wants to do it but me. The idea, Stugatz is also mad at me for not defending him again. Stugatz has never been disappointed in me.
I'm more okay with that now. I am. I'm more okay with it now. I have, my fury is aimed directly at Michael.
What he did was disrespectful. I don't think there's anything disputing that, but he thought your question was stupid, and so he said so. And he's been doing that one for a while.
Right.
He's been dismissing things as stupid for a long time.
I don't mind that. Just the notion that you can only have, because you're at the top of the sports media landscape.
It's insulting.
That you can only have conversations with certain people about certain topics. Get out of here.
I don't think
Sorry, Michael, get out of here.
I don't think anyone's going to side with him on the way that he treated you. I don't think anyone's going to. Do we have that sound, Mike, or we don't have that sound? So we'll play the back and forth for you because it was 40 minutes ago. Wilbon's mad too, though. But
he's mad at me for what? For what?
He thought it was he didn't think it was
for having a conversation. I was never mad at Mike until it's like, hey, I can only have this discussion with Dan.
All right, well, let's listen to the back and forth here.
Mike, he does a Game 7 against the Rockets, Western Conference Finals. You okay with it? He lets Draymond.
Game 7's on February the damn 10th.
I'm just saying.
Don't ask me a stupid question.
Michael, no.
Dumb to even ask me.
Michael.
To compare Game 7 with today? Stop being stupid. Seriously.
Mike, no, the Rockets are up 3-0, and Steve can't reach his team. They just want to get to the finish line. And he says, hey, Draymond, coach the team.
This is why, if I can talk to Dan about something reasonable instead of this something this dumb, then I'll come back, then I'll stay on the show. If not, I got better stuff to do, fellas.
How weird to be that angry and intolerant over a hypothetical question.
Greg, what I'm telling you about what I am telling you guys about the sensibilities and the way that people take sports too seriously. You understand that his ripping of Stugatz and his ripping of LeVar Ball are about the same thing. Michael Wilbon feels that those people have not earned his platform, and there's condescension in it.
That's for sure.
I'm actually proud of myself. I mean, to get Michael Wilbon that agitated and that upset, I'm thrilled. I am thrilled.
Well, you were agitated and upset. You were stomping around during the break. I rarely see you get angry.
Yeah, I'm mad at him.
I think Stugatz has a point, though, to be upset at how you failed to back him up there. In that clip, there was you laughing, shushing.
I told him
you shushed him, and then you brought it back to laughter at the end, all while Michael Wilbon is calling Stugatz stupid.
Yeah, and a bum.
All fair.
A bum.
All fair criticisms.
Bum.
He didn't call you a bum, did he?
Yeah, he called me a bum.
Seriously?
I didn't hear that.
I didn't either.
He said, I don't want to
he called you dumb, which would just
dumb. Okay.
Which you mishearing and turning into dumb doesn't exactly refute his point. Yeah. Either of them, whichever it is, bum or dumb. You not listening correctly to what the insult was does not refute his point.
Why should I listen? He wasn't listening to me.
I was trying to shush Stugatz, though, but not because I wanted him shushed. It's because I wanted the space for Michael Wilbon to be angry because I thought it would be funny.
It's just a letter difference. I mean, everyone making a big deal about this.
Bum and dumb. Yeah. I was surprised by Wilbon's reaction.
I was. I didn't know he took himself that seriously.